Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Superboy the Legacy podcast. I'm Tom Gallagher, with me is Chris Jacobsen, and we're back in season 5 today, and it's a slightly different sort of season 5 episode. This is season 5 episode 7, but it hasn't been written yet. This is our first, when we first started doing season 5, we were calling the segment Superboy Writers Room. Now we just call it season 5. But now it's kind of the first time we're actually doing a sort of writer's room thing. We're going to write the episode together on video and you're going to watch us do it. Obviously there will be edits, but yeah, hopefully you have fun. A bit of an experiment, but I think it'll be fun. I think it's worth a try.
Yeah, definitely worth a try. See what we can come up with. This is going to be a very interesting one because we're going to be introducing a classic 1970s Superman. I wouldn't call him a foe, more of an antagonist.
Yeah, definitely. Vartox is one of my favorite Bronze Age characters. Like he always seems to find some way to go up against Superman. Sometimes it's like there's some sort of mind control at work, or like usually it's just a misunderstanding and they go up against each other. This the same way as like in the first 2 Avengers movies. They found a way to have the Avengers fight each other. They're not, they're not enemies. They just have a punch up every now and then.
Yeah.
But this episode, we are going to be building our story roughly around Vartox's first appearance from the comics. We both, you've got it on your iPad, I've got it as my physical copy here. But this is Superman number 281.
Yep.
From November, what was it? You said the year, 74?
November 1974, which is the cover date, which means that it is the same age as me.
Very, very cool. Nice coincidence there. But yeah, this is one of those things.
Also, here's the other funny part about it, Tom. My birthday is actually coming up in 4 days.
Oh, happy birthday!
That we're doing this.
That is cool. Yeah, it's like a nice little birthday. Happenstance. That's not the word I was looking for, but never mind. But yeah, this. You look at this cover and you see Vartox very clearly based on Sean Connery's character from Zardoz.
You can
kind of a
really
ridiculous costume. This costume is ridiculous, but I don't know. I really do like the vest that he wears, and obviously being season 5, I had to go ahead and redesign his costume, which you'll be seeing on screen now. But I've tried to modernize it a little bit more, make it work in live action, mostly because the fact is we've cast Edward James Olmos in this role, and even though this is all make-believe anyway, I don't think he would have ever agreed to wear that version of the suit.
Yeah. Let's just face it. Connery even hated wearing the suit that he had in Zardoz. So
yeah. I don't know why he did that movie at all, to be honest. Like, it's kind of surprising. He went from Bond to Zardoz.
Well,
but yeah, I love the character of Vartox. He's never been done in live action before. Like, the only thing that comes close is in the pilot episode of Supergirl. There's a character in that called Vartox. There's no resemblance whatsoever to the comic book character. I guess they just named him that as a reference.
Yeah, he's what we in fandom like to call a Vino. Vartox in name only.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously all the comic books from this era were kind of clickbaity with their covers. Just let you know, you might as well go and read this issue before you watch this episode because it will be spoiler heavy. But spoiler alert, like, he doesn't actually ever kill Lois Lane in this story. It's like almost like a simulation. Like, he was running the scenario to see what the most likely outcome would be, and the most likely outcome, if he went up against Superman, would be the death of Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I think we should change that in this story. I think, one, it shouldn't be Lois Lane anyway. It should be Lana. because he's not in love with Lois Lane at this point in season 5, so we kind of have to switch it. Also, we just brought her back in the previous episode, so we may as well have Lana in there again and tie it in thematically. But I don't think it should be a simulation. I think it should be a threat, like maybe because Superman will not let him get hold of the criminal that killed his wife, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe he threatens to kill Lana Lang, and he's like, yeah. But we'll get there.
Yep.
So, this issue does start, and it's how our episode should start, almost a shot-for-shot recreation. You see Vartox's wife, you see a typical diner on Earth, and Vartox's wife is like waking up, and it's just like a normal morning. You see in the diner, there's a hold-up. The criminal shoots the girl working behind the counter, and as she falls to the ground, I think we should be cutting back and forth as they both fall in slow-mo at the same time. We see both on screen as they fall to the ground, and you realise there's some sort of cosmic link between these women, and because one's died, the other's died as well. I think that would be a fun sort of shot to see them both falling at the same time. But
you know what might work pretty well? I mean, in both sequences, you know, the diner robbery scene and, you know, Vartox's wife dying, you know, it's obviously it's two different people. What if we made it that it's the same actress playing both roles?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
it's the same role. They've got some sort of cosmic link, and it's like the same person has been born on two different planets. I think that's a really cool way to approach it. But then when the woman's like waking up, like I think we should see like outside her window, and we'll see that this isn't Earth. This is some alien utopian planet. Like the skyscrapers should look beautiful, and we see that. Maybe we even have superimposed on screen the planet Valeron, which is Vartox's home planet. Which, after just looking it up as well, I think it's funny. Valeron is canonically located in the Sombrero Galaxy, which is Sombrero Galaxy. I kind of like it in a wacky sort of way. It's doesn't that just sum up the Bronze Age, though?
Yeah, it does.
But I kind of love that. And we see that they have a superhero too as we look outside, and we see Vartox for the first time. He's flying through the sky, returning home, and he touches down on a balcony and walks in and sees that his wife, the woman we've just been watching, is dead. And so obviously he rushes her to their medical center, just like he does in the comics. And the scientists from Vartox's planet are able to determine what happened. They're able to detect this cosmic link, like almost like a thread throughout the galaxy connecting these two women, and it's been cut. And Vartox is able to ascertain that the woman that died, that caused his wife's death, she was killed by a robber on Earth. And Vartox is immediately going to be like, you know, they've got their own superhero, this Superman, and he can see him on the screen. We have a cool shot of Gerard flying, and he's like, this could be a problem. And the main reason why he goes to Earth and he wants to get that criminal is because this criminal isn't just responsible for the death of the woman in the diner. He killed someone from Valeron, and so he must face justice on his planet too. He sees that Superman probably isn't going to let him go without a fight. He's going to try and keep him on Earth. I don't think we should say exactly what kind of punishment he would face on Valeron, but I think we can imply that maybe it's the death penalty or something. But the whole point of this story, I think, is by the end we should have Superman kind of convince him, you know, maybe let us just take care of this. He didn't mean to kill two women at once. A third death is not going to help anything.
Yeah.
But, we can save that for the big third act part. But in the comic, he basically arrives on Earth. It is in a simulation, but we don't know at this point. But we see Vartox just arrive on Earth. He just floats down, and Superman's there to meet him. And there's a line of dialogue where it says like Vartox had sent a message to Superman via the Fortress of Solitude, and that's why Superman knew he was coming. But to be honest, I've never been overly happy with that explanation. I kind of want to see it, so I think we need a scene actually of Superman in the Fortress of Solitude receiving the message. But beyond that, I think we can more or less leave that unchanged. What do you think?
You know, Tom, I get your point here. Okay. But I think because it's a simulation, we don't really need to see it at this point.
I don't think we should make it a simulation in our episode, though. I think we should do it for real. But he's not set up a simulation this time to see the thing. He's just going to go there, and everything that we see, because I kind of don't like the twist that, you know, to pay off the clickbaity cover from the thing, they kind of have to do a twist halfway through the issue where it turns out it's not actually happening. I kind of don't really want to do that with this episode necessarily. I think we can tell, because we're going to go in such a different direction anyway. I think we can more or less just
cut away the first part of the story and just focus on the
we
rest.
Can still tell some of the events from that part of the story. It won't have the twist that it's a simulation necessarily.
Right. All right, that works. That works.
Because I think it gives it more stakes, especially if like Lana gets given like a lethal dose of, like, I don't know, what was Vartox's power thing called? It's not like a radiation type thing, but it's. Do you remember what the actual name for his power is? It's like hyper power, like
he's referred to as having hyper powers.
Yeah, so maybe Lana gets like a lethal dose. The only place she can be saved is on Valoron. Maybe at the end of the episode, Vartox has to take her back with him, and with the promise that she'll be returned as soon as she recovers or something.
Right.
But, I just want to make sure that if a character gets like what would be a lethal dose of something, I want the stakes to actually still be there. I don't immediately then want to cut to Vartox looking over a TV screen going, well, that simulation didn't work. Maybe I'll try it a different way. And it's like, I think the first half of that story can totally work as an episode on its own. But so he sees that Superman is there. That's when the title, like, he's looking on the screen. He knows Superman's on Earth. Title credits. We come back. Superman's in the fortress. He receives the message from Vartox saying, "A criminal from your planet has murdered my wife. I'm coming for him. Do not get in my way." Like, maybe it could be like a threat. Like Vartox and him, they always come to blows. Maybe instead of being like a friendly, "I need you to do this for me," maybe he's like, "Do not get in my way. I'm coming for this criminal. He will face justice. Stay out of it." Like, he's just.
It's almost like, almost like he's leaving a message on the answering machine kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, except it's live. It's a video call. And he's like, "I'm coming. I'm leaving right now. Like, I'm getting my coat on. I've got my car keys. I'm on my way. Be ready."
Before Clark can react, it's like it shuts off. And maybe what we should have is him. Obviously we're going to have George Layson be there as
of course,
Jor-El, and
we've got Jor-El and Lara in our fortress now as well. So maybe he's worked out a way to have both running at the same time without exposing the fortress to satellite imagery and all that stuff, because that was the explanation we used before. But
maybe what he says is, can you, because he was just there, just putting a trophy away, we'll just say, and then all of a sudden
or maybe he's there with Lana, maybe because the last episode ended with him picking up the phone and calling her. She knows his identity now, so maybe he's deciding he wants to give it a go. Maybe he wants. That's the idea. That's the idea for the episode. Like he wants to give the relationship a go. He wants to take her to the fortress. He wants to tell her that he loves her, and he wants to give it a serious try. But then along comes Vartox and confirms his fears that being with Superman puts Lana in danger.
Yeah.
And because she almost dies in the episode, that's when he decides, I made the right call in backing off. It's got to just be a friendship thing from now on. We can't. Maybe that's what it is, like to pay off the story set up in the last episode. But I think that's a fun way. I think that'd be a good way to just anchor the story from an emotional standpoint, you know.
Yeah.
But, sorry, my chair's gone down. Yeah, but
yeah, the way I see it is, it's not like, Jor-El or Lara, whichever program is running at that time, says you have an incoming call or anything, something like that. It just automatically the holographic communication system just turns on as if under its own control, and that's when you have this hologram of Vartox. And he says,
do you know if the Fortress of Solitude's little robot companion, is it Kalex or Kelex?
Kelex.
Had that been invented at this point by 1993? I'm trying to remember if that was a more recent addition. I feel like it was always there, but I can't remember.
Well, let me see. I got my tablet right here, so I can just Google him. Kelex DC. Okay.
First appearance, Man of Steel #1, John Byrne.
That was the Kelex that was on Krypton.
Well, maybe he's got one in the Fortress of Solitude too. Yeah, they're just Kryptonian service robots. Maybe we could have Kelex like float on up and say that, Kal-El, you have an incoming message. You have an incoming call.
Let's see. When did he first appear, though? This is essentially the second Kelex.
Yeah.
So.
Right. First time was when the Eradicator device was obtained by Superman. It tries to recreate Krypton on Earth, beginning South Pole in the Arctic. That's when the Fortress of Solitude was created, but like for the John Byrne version, and Kelex came with it. But
yeah,
I can't see when the Eradicator device was first introduced. Should we just say we'll use it anyway?
Yeah, it works. It works best.
Yeah. I think it's fun just to have his little robot butler. Like, we'll have Kelex float on in, and he'll be like, Kal-El, you have an incoming video call on the Holo viewer or something. Some sci-fi technobabble, and maybe Vartox's face appears in the same holographic like template as what we see with Jor-El.
Yeah.
Maybe Jor-El's face just disappears, and now we're seeing Vartox's face, and they're talking through it, and it's not just how Jor-El communicates; it's a communication holo emitter or something in general.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. It's not a full body, representation.
Yeah.
It's just
I think Jor-El can do that. Like Jor-El can do that, like in Superman 2. Like, I think it's in the Donner cut when he gives Kal-El back his powers and actually appears in person.
Yeah.
Like, I think that can happen, but yeah, for this purpose, it's purely just a communications device. Jor-El's able, like, his hologram was able to use it to talk to Kal-El, but it can also, maybe we'll even show it being used to communicate with the Green Lantern Corps one day as well. I think that could be fun. Any sort of cosmic story, like, yeah.
Yeah, and just the look on Vartox's face, is just it's emotionless. You can see that it's emotionless in the sense of a Vulcan, but you can also see there's hint of rage as he's speaking.
Kind of like Tuvok in Voyager.
Yeah.
Like he Tim Russ, who played him, said that he always played Tuvok as if he was completely emotionless, but you could see that the emotions were just below the surface, and that he had some rage in him. Like, he was seriously trying not to Yeah, there was a lot of emotion in Vulcans. It's just below the surface. One of my favorite parts about a Vulcan. But yeah, you can see on his face in the holo emitter, like, his wife's died, but he's keeping it together, and right now he's down to business. I'm coming. This criminal is gonna face justice on my planet, and do not get in my way. Just, and maybe then you can just be like, he's talking to him, like you say, it cuts off. Superman can be like maybe tries to reestablish the comm link or something. And
Yeah, and he says something to the effect of to Kellex, what's the location of this message? And that's when we find out that it's the planet Valeron in what is referred to as the Sombrero Galaxy.
Mm.
And then
maybe
Lana
that's
is
when
just
we
sitting
find
there.
out it's maybe that's when we find out it's the Sombrero Galaxy. But when we was on Valeron, we saw it on text on screen, the planet Valeron, and it's
Yeah,
so now
but when Kellex says that, Lana she stifles a chuckle.
Yeah, the Sombrero Galaxy, because it's laughable. We've got to make a little joke about it. And it's part of what I love about the Bronze Age, is the silly names and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's how that is at the moment. Maybe obviously it's still Act 1. We've got to have a little bit of a fight. So maybe like he can even ask the Fortress, and he's just like, how fast can they get here? And maybe the Fortress is like, we have absolutely no way of knowing how fast their ships are. And it's like, and then we just cut to space, and Vartox is flying through space. He's not even in a ship. He's just flying. Like, he doesn't need one. And maybe like we then cut back to the Fortress again, and it's like, Kal-El, he's here. It's like he's already done it. Like, he's that fucking powerful. Like, just to set up, like, this guy is just, yeah, he's really fast. Like, he's flown from one planet to the other
in a matter of a minute.
Seconds. Yeah, like a minute. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah. So then,
but then again, given that it's coming from another galaxy,
maybe
that message could have been sent
way faster than light.
Yeah, that message could have been sent.
But he's interacted.
Half an hour
he's
ago.
interacted with him though. Like,
yeah,
he would have answered questions. But maybe like Jarell's hologram, maybe it's highly sophisticated. Highly sophisticated message that can actually reply.
Yeah.
Without him needing to be there, maybe. Like, it's sci-fi tech. Maybe it can do that.
Yeah.
There's some artificial intelligence of Vartox in it, and or maybe he was flying the whole time he was talking. But you can't actually.
Yeah, from your design on Vartox, he has those bracers on his arms, so maybe there's communication devices in those bracers.
Yeah, and that's the point of them, is to use as tech, and I think that's the perfect thing for them to be. Maybe that you can also see, like, as we see him then arrive back on Earth, you can maybe have him tap the bracer, and you see, like, just for a second, like, this force field hollow like thing around him. So it's like that's how he was able to talk in space. He had like an air bubble generated by the bracers, and like as soon as he's on Earth, he deactivates them, and we just see him sort of disappear. But
right.
Just to say, just as a nice little thing. So if people say, well, how can he be talking to Superman while flying through space? There's no air, there's no, he's got an air bubble. It's like the TARDIS it's like the TARDIS in Doctor Who. You can just extend the air shell, and then you can breathe and talk just fine in space.
Yep.
But so Vartox arrives on Earth. As he's breaking through the atmosphere, Superman flies to meet him, and he tries to reason with him, and he's like, you need to explain.
One thing we should be doing. We can't just leave Lana in the fortress.
Right.
So maybe he's using his telescopic vision. He's watching, re-entry. And he's flying Lana. He puts her down on the roof of the Daily Planet. And he says, "Stay here. I have to deal with this." And then we see touchdown, because we can't leave an unopened unopened an unanswered question here. What did he do with Lana?
Yeah, because then when they fight, we need Lana to get injured, and that can't happen. I don't want the fight to take place at the fortress. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's like that scene in, I don't know if you're familiar with the Ruby Spears animated series of Superman.
I've only seen the first episode.
Okay,
that's one I need to watch at some point.
There was an episode called Cybron Strikes. It was basically their way of doing Brainiac without doing Brainiac. Instead of him being an alien from outer space, he's an alien from like the year 4000. He comes back through time to the 20th century in a pyramid shape. And in the process of, trying to deal with this, Superman takes Lois back to the roof of the Daily Planet, leaves her there and says, "Stay here. I'm going to go take care of this." And of course, her response is, "Don't leave me here on my birthday." So,
I think that can work. So Superman drops her on the roof of the Daily Planet. Maybe even like you see, like in the final shot of Smallville, there's that little bit where the door opens, he comes out and does the shirt rip. Yeah. Maybe there's that little element on this roof, and suddenly that door swings open and Lois Lane runs out as well. And she's like, she'd seen him maybe through the window, and it's like, finally he's going to let me interview it. Oh, he's gone.
And then she's looking at this other woman like, "Who are you?"
Maybe that's when Lana can introduce herself. And say, "Oh, sorry, Lana Lang," and maybe she then tells her, was it WGBS or something? The Morgan Edge's Galaxy News communication thing, that company, and she introduces and says, "Oh, so you're a rival?" And she's like, "Well, this is private property." Maybe she could be like, "Superman said I should stay here."
That works.
She's like, well, if you're staying, I'm staying too. I want to speak to him about Lois isn't happy at all. She's like, one, she's going to wait because now she knows Superman's coming back. But two, she also is like, this roof isn't your own private property. And I think it might be fun even to end the episode with Jimmy Olsen getting a photo of Superman and Lois still doesn't get her interview. I don't know. I think Lois is funny to torture Lois a little bit like that. She, we know where the story's going to go. We know how close they're going to become. So
given that we know their future, it's a little fun to play with their present.
Yeah. I also do think at some point I'm going to have Clark Kent get the first interview with Superman, like in Man of Steel. Yeah, that was in John Byrne's Man of Steel. That wasn't one of the others.
And we should adapt that whole sequence. With her, drowning in the car, and then him saying to her, "Do you always travel with an aqualung under your front seat?"
Yeah, I love that scene. She's willing to drive a car into into the ocean. I assume Metropolis is still a oceanfront city in Man of Steel. I'm trying to remember, but it definitely is in our universe. It's definitely an oceanfront thing because I think we've gone to the docks in Metropolis like 3 out of 7 episodes so far. Just because I think the docks are always a fun, interesting location to have a scene. But
one thing I think I want to make a suggestion here. Given that, the version of Superman we have, Jordan Elliott, the one who's been taking care of Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
Given that he comes from a universe where he's already dealt with Vartox, maybe after Vartox is first seen on TV, he reaches out to Clark, because Vartox disappears for a little while, and Clark goes to the planet. The planet's in an uproar, and he gets a call.
Should we just say that after dropping Lana and Lois have had that little thing, should we just say that Superman and Vartox have already had a fight, and maybe Vartox has disappeared? Maybe, the thing is, Vartox needs to kind of wipe the floor with Superman in their first encounter.
Yeah, because remember, he is supposedly more powerful than him. stronger.
I just wonder what Vartox is doing at the moment.
Mm.
Because, yeah, we kind of need the fight to happen now, but it's... So it can continue as you're saying. Maybe I'll have an idea of how to work it into the timeline.
He, Clark, he comes back to the planet. Of course, he's got some bruises on his face.
Mm.
First one to notice it is Jimmy. He says, "Geez, Kent, Mr. Kent, what'd you do to yourself?" Walked into a door.
Mm.
Wow, that must have been a big door, something like that.
Yeah.
He sits down at his desk.
Joke. That's good.
Yeah, he sits down at his desk and he's kind of working up a a profile of Vartox from what he's seen because he was in the field.
Mm.
And then the phone rings, and he says, "Hello, Clark Kent," and it's Jordan Elliott, and he says, "Clark, it's your other you." And he's like, "Oh, Jordan, what's up? I need you down at the Brownstone now."
Mm.
He says, "It has to do with what you're dealing with right now."
I know how we can work this in then, because he's already bruised from the fight, but we needed a reason that Superman can lose that fight, but Vartox not immediately get to the criminal. Maybe Superman has... Maybe we see Superman call in a favor. Maybe that criminal's been taken into like witness protection type deal. Like he's got someone at the prison that's actually hidden him away, got him off site. Super, it's not a normal thing. It would never happen in real life. But if Superman asks, like tells you, this is really important, I need you to do this.
Yeah,
they're probably going to do it.
Yeah.
Let's face it, at this point, this is his 5th year of fighting crime. They know if Superman's asking, it's probably for a damn good reason.
Yeah.
But so maybe he's not at the prison and Vartox is now looking for him. But yeah, maybe there's some sort of... I don't know where they would hide the prisoner. Maybe Jordan Elliott, when Superman gets to the Brownstone, is like, we've got him here. Like the JSA,
Dr. Fate. Yeah, Dr. Fate did it.
Yeah, Dr. Fate knew that Vartox was coming and immediately hid him away somewhere. And they're just like, the JSA is like a secret superhero organization. Like, we've got hiding spots. Like, don't worry, he won't be found until you want him to be found.
Yeah.
And so that's how we can get the prisoner hidden. I like that. I think that works. And so sorry, continue as you were going. Now I'm just glad that we've got the timeline sorted a little bit there.
Yeah. So he goes down to the Brownstone. He tells Perry, "I have to go meet with a confidential source." So he is not going to send a photographer with him or anything like that. He gets there and.
Should we have it so before he goes, he realizes he's left Lana on the roof of the Daily Planet and fetches her? Maybe he takes her to the Brownstone or something, or just says, "I'll drop you off on the way."
No. I think at this point she's come down on her own.
Okay.
Because it's not like he's left her in the fortress and she can't get home. He put her on a building top.
He did say not to leave, but I'll tell you what, though, it would be funny. Maybe Lana has left, but Lois hasn't, because she's so sure that Superman's going to return for her at some point that she's just like, well, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Maybe she could even like shout up at the sky like, "I've got all day," and it's just Superman's not even listening at that point.
Yeah.
I love that episode of Lois and Clark where Lois is desperately trying to get the Superman interview, and like Jimmy or Clark like ends up tricking her into the sewers, and they like, there's that little Godzilla doll with a Superman t-shirt on, and that's all she gets out of it. But similar sort of thing. Maybe there can be like a whole fun, B story going on, and maybe Lois can even see at the end of the story, she finds out like Superman and Lana have kind of a relationship going on, and maybe Superman says like, if you don't report that, if you don't put that in a story, I'll give you the interview. And like maybe that's how she can finally get him to talk to her or something.
Yeah. But of course, if we do the idea what we want, where Clark eventually gets the story,
Well, maybe that,
maybe, given the way Lois is, she's a little vindictive. She might actually put that out there.
Yeah.
She might break her promise because he already gave an interview to another reporter.
Well, maybe we don't need to have Clark get the first interview then.
Yeah.
That was just a fun idea. It doesn't have to stick.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I think this would be I can't think of a better way to. Because basically at this point, I feel like Superman kind of has to owe Lois one to get that interview. And I think this is sort of the perfect opportunity to do that. As one door closes at the end of this episode, as he knows he cannot pursue a relationship with Lana, it's
another
opening the
door
door to Lois. Yeah. Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah.
But,
so
continue at the Brownstone.
Yeah. So he gets to the Brownstone, and of course, Dr. Fate, played by the great Ricardo Montalban, is sitting in the chair.
Yeah. That's. Did we mention that during the commentary recently?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so people do. If you've been watching our commentaries, you know that that's who we cast as Dr. Fate. Obviously, when he was first introduced, I didn't cast the role. For some reason, I cast every role in the episode. I forgot to cast Dr. Fate. But Ricardo Montalban. I think it's going to be awesome because when he's Dr. Fate and he's got the helmet on, he can walk around. And when he takes it off, it's just a stuntman. The same way that Brendan Fraser voices Robot Man on Doom Patrol. Like he's not actually in the suit. Like it's a co-performance. Yeah. So when he's got the mask on, he's in the suit. He can walk around. It's still Montalban's voice, but as soon as he takes the helmet off, he's back in the wheelchair, which I think would be a really nice sort of way to actually incorporate the character's disability in a way. Because I just think it's always good if you've got a part that's like for a disabled person. It's always nice to actually be able to cast someone who's actually disabled in the role, because I just feel like they bring an extra element to it. They can, I know this is all make believe, but it's more believable. But I realise this is all make believe, but this is the kind of stuff that we're thinking of all the time when we're casting for season 5. Like it's not just who do we think would be great for the part. It's like who do we think would actually get a kick out of playing that part as well? Like, I'm not sure we could have got half these people for the budget that this show would have had to have been. But screw it, we're going to be just like, oh well, what if the sky's the limit? And it's just like we offer parts to actors that we think would have a lot of fun playing them. It's like that's why Patrick Stewart is Hugo Strange, because Stewart plays a lot of heroic characters, but he plays a really good villain as well. Like Patrick Stewart plays an incredible villain,
and that's why I chose Brent Spiner for the Atomic Skull, because he's known for playing hero, nice guys, but he also does have a great ability to play villains, as we've seen with Lore.
Definitely. Well, Star Trek Picard season 2 was shit, but Brent Spiner played a pretty good villain in it. Like I've got to hand it to him. The whole storyline that he was playing didn't need to be there, but like they could have removed it entirely, and it wouldn't have changed the story of the season at all. But he did a pretty good job. Like as he became more unhinged, like Brent Spiner did a really marvelous job playing that. So always like seeing him with villain roles.
But so he gets there. Fate, of course, meets him at the door, and he says, "Where's the other me?" And he says, "He's in the dining room waiting for you. We have to talk." Gets there, and he says, "So you said this is about what's going on right now?" Because somebody had gotten a video camera and had recorded the fight, because the fight was in the middle of Metropolis. Okay, and it was broadcast live, and Jordan automatically knew. I knew this was going to happen. So he explains everything that happened in the old universe, the Earth 1 universe. He says Vartox was a sometime ally, sometime antagonist. The first time that we ever met was the exact same thing that you're dealing with right now. And Clark is a little taken aback and says, you said previously that you didn't want to have anything to do with my life. And he says, yes, but here's the thing. Vartox is about 10 times more powerful than you are. He could literally kill you. I don't want you to get killed, and then the world is without a Superman.
Maybe our Superman could even say something like, I've gone up against people that are stronger than me before. And he's just like, you don't get it? He is the Superman of his world. And not just that, he has been doing this a lot longer than you have. He's not just 10 times more powerful, he's 10 times more experienced. And the experience makes him so much more dangerous than you can imagine. And he's like, he's maybe, that also gives Superman an idea as well. And he's just like, well, you said he's the hero. Like, he's the hero of his planet. Maybe we can have that already be mentioned. Like, he knows Vartox's backstory, so he's told him about him. But he's just like, you said he's like the hero of his planet and all of this. Is there any way we can talk him round? And maybe at that point they're just like, well, to be honest, I think that's the only thing we can do at this point. Maybe we can even have that Superman say, if the Justice League had already been formed, we'd have a chance. But right now, no.
Right now, it's just you.
Yeah, it's you and the Flash, who you haven't even met yet. It's the Flash, you and Batman. And again, Batman, he's not met yet. Maybe at this point, he still thinks Batman's just an urban legend or something. Even though, because obviously it's still the early days. He hasn't even had Robin yet. So, maybe he's just like, if you had more people to help, maybe we'd have a chance. But right now, I think talking to him is the only course of action. But,
and he says, and you seem to have an ability to talk people down, as you did with Darla, referencing our second episode. So maybe it's a good time that you hone that skill.
Yeah, definitely.
Because power for power, Vartox is going to win. Experience, Vartox is going to win. And he says, the man is grieving right now. He just lost his wife, which is something that Vartox didn't mention to him in the message.
Yeah, so he's got an extra piece of information. Like, he can use that when he goes back in and says, I know about your wife. Maybe that can even throw Vartox as well. He's like, how can you possibly know about that? And he's like, well, maybe he can say, look, I'm told you're the hero of your planet, so I'm just going to level with you. Maybe he can just lay it out and just say, there's another version of me from a parallel universe, and everything we're doing right now, he's already done. So I already know how this is going to work out. Maybe he can say, that's an interesting idea. Maybe I should have run some simulations.
Referencing the comic.
Yeah, maybe he's like, maybe I should have done some simulations. It seems like you already kind of know the outcome, and maybe this can enrage Vartox and they fight a little bit more because it's an action show. We need to have some more action. But maybe during the fight, Clark is talking. He's telling him, like, maybe Vartox is even getting angry because you can tell Superman's not even, like, his heart's not in the fight. He's just trying to talk him around. And
and he's even not even he's only putting up defensive blocks. He's not even he's not even
fighting back, really. He's just trying not to die.
And
at the same time, so he can just say, like, I know you're grieving. Like, he can have the whole conversation, like you say. He can try to talk him round, and maybe it doesn't work at first. And Vartox is even more enraged, and maybe he can get like one really powerful punch in, like really knock Superman back. He's like, he's on the ground, he's in a lot of pain, and Vartox is just like.
And now the rage of losing his wife is coming out, and and Clark will say something to the effective, "Go ahead, do it."
Maybe he's be like, if that's what you need to do it.
Yeah, do it.
But he's not going to bring her back, and maybe he can even say like, "I don't know what your world's justice is like, and I don't want to know. Maybe you just want to imprison him. Maybe you want to execute him, but it's not going to bring her back." And he can try to just emotionally get through, and maybe it is kind of like a gut punch for Vartox. And it's like right now you keep saying you're going to bring him to justice, but this isn't justice. This is vengeance. You know it's vengeance. And if you really are the hero of your planet, like I've been told, you know that this is wrong. Maybe he can appeal to him and just be like, don't throw away your legacy as a hero by doing something that could be an evil deed.
Yeah. And in the process, here's where we could bring in the whole idea with Lana, him deciding not to pursue the relationship.
Mm.
In the process of the fight, she runs up like Lana is known for.
Mm.
She gets hurt, falling debris, sprains her ankle. Something hurts her, and he realizes this can't happen.
Maybe there's even a shot of like Lana. She's been hit in the head. She's unconscious. She's laying on the floor, and as he looks at her on the ground, maybe just for a couple of frames, it just flashes, and you see it's his wife laying there, exact same position on the floor of their bedroom where she died at the beginning of the episode. And maybe just for a second, he's seeing the flash of that, and
maybe that's what wakes Vartox up.
Yeah, maybe he realizes that he's causing the exact thing that hurt him at the beginning of the episode, and maybe Superman could even just say like, this isn't the way to honor her memory. She would be telling you to stop right now, and you know it. And maybe this other Superman could come out and try to talk him round, and maybe we have a nice little conversation between the Tom Selleck Superman and Vartox, and he's just like, hello old friend, and maybe he's just like, we haven't met, and he's like, I know, but I know about this, I know about that, and maybe they can go off and have a story, and this other alternate version of Superman can tell Vartox like a story that maybe he'd shared from his universe at one point about the wife, and he's just like, you once told me this is your favorite story, I'm going to repeat it for you now, you just tell me if it happened in this world too. And maybe it did, and it's like it's even though these versions haven't actually met these versions, because Tom Selleck's version has a history with Vartox, he's able to connect with him in an emotional way, and that also helps pay off Tom Selleck's story from the burn, where he's like, I haven't got powers, how can I ever be a hero? And right now here he is, powerless, and maybe it's Tom Selleck's Superman that is finally able to talk Vartox around because of their shared history. And I think that'd be a fun way to pay that off, just to show that even without powers, he's still a Superman.
Yeah,
I'm liking this.
I think I mentioned bringing him in.
Yeah, we're paying off so many things that we've already started off. Like maybe I'll have to bring back that Legion ring that was in the first episode at some point soon, because it's been a while since we mentioned that.
Yeah.
But, if people are enjoying rather listening to us actually writing the episode together, just breaking it together right now, I mean, maybe we'll write the Legion episode in the same way, and we'll write the first Legion of Superheroes story just like this. I think that'd be fun, because I have a bunch of ideas for that, but they're all these little ideas that I can loosely connect into a story, but it wouldn't be a very good story just yet. So if we write it together, some of those ideas will be thrown away and some of them will be leaned into. But I think that'd be fun.
And given my my knowledge of the Legion, it will help.
Yeah. Now, earlier on, I think I mentioned on this, I can't remember if I said it to you before we hit record, but Lana at the end possibly getting a fatal dose of the hyperpower and having to be taken back to Valeron. I don't think that's needed now necessarily.
Yeah.
Although it ties into a future story from the comics where Lana actually almost does marry Vartox and move to his home planet. That's the only reason that was in there, was to sort of pay homage to another story from the comics. But
Yeah.
I think we'd be better off just.
I think whatever actress we use to play both the lady at Rosie's Diner and Vartox's wife should be red haired.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
because not just for the fact that it'll play into the flashback to him when he sees her laying there, but also he's got a thing for redheads. And then
maybe we should just cast like a famous redhead actress in that role, like Julianne Moore, maybe. I'm trying to think. Was she acting?
Was she acting at that time?
She started acting in 1984 on television.
Okay.
I don't know how old she was at the time. Maybe she was a child actress or something. But she was in 8 episodes of a show called Edge of Night. I've not heard of. Someone else.
There was an actress I was thinking of that we could use, and she's.
I've just thought of one, but it would mean that we can never use her again.
Okay.
What's her name from X-Files?
Gillian Anderson?
Yeah. I mean, I think we can find a better role for her. That's the only reason I'll say no at this point.
Okay, so Edge of Night was a soap opera. And you said that you wanted Julianne Moore. You know who else was in that show? That the one I was actually thinking of?
Yeah.
Marsha Cross.
Oh, she's in that. She always plays the bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I love her, that actress. She's absolutely brilliant in everything I've seen her in.
Yeah, and having her play somebody nice.
Yeah. Again, we're going against type.
Yes.
Yeah. Marsha Cross plays that thing. Again, I wonder if we're wasting a good actress. But I mean,
well,
Barry Myers played both Bizarro and Caliban, so maybe we can just bring her back later on anyway. It's just a different character.
And if we wanted to, I mean, wasn't there a love interest of Vartox that appeared later as a villainess?
I don't remember. Possibly.
I think there was, and maybe his wife was brought back to life, and now she's a bitch.
Almost like a Bizarro version. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. I think we can do that. I mean, that's season 6, but rather than season 5. But I mean, Vartox, we've got to bring him back at some point. So I think that would be a fun second story to do with him, for sure.
Yeah.
But should we go back to the story?
Absolutely.
So he's been talked around by the Tom Selleck Superman, aka what was his name?
Jordan Elliott.
Jordan Elliott. From Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. You know what? From now on, I'm just going to refer to him as the Man of Tomorrow.
Okay.
Just as it's easier. But so he's talked Vartox around. Maybe Vartox is like on his knees, like he's broken. Maybe he's just an absolute emotional episode. Like he's just
holding his head like this, crying.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
And maybe, almost screaming in pain, like the same way that Superman did when Lois died in Superman the movie. Like he's just that absolute anguish and pain, and it's just and he's on the ground. Maybe then Superman can like come up. He just puts his hand on Vartox's shoulder, and Vartox stands. They help. Like Vartox starts apologizing profusely, like for Lana's injury. It's like keeps saying over and over, like I didn't mean it, and all this, like. And maybe they all end up going back to the Brownstone and having a nice chat, and we can just have like this whole, like in Avengers: Age of Ultron, when they have that scene where the Avengers all just get together and have a few drinks and have a party and all that. Yeah. Maybe we can just end the episode with them all at the Brownstone and
Lois still sitting up on the roof.
Yeah, maybe that's the post-credit scene. We just see Lois like on the roof, like it's night. She's just on the roof, sitting on a crate or something. She's just like getting angry, like she flicks a cigarette. She goes, she just like puts her fist to the sky, and right as we cut, you just hear her saying, "Fuck!" just the first F of "fuck you," and we just cut before it says like at the end of Spider-Man: Homecoming, where May goes like, "What the fuck?" And yeah, like Lois is mad. But I did still want to bring in Jimmy for a. I wanted to give Jimmy his photo at the end of this episode, really. But
maybe during the fight when Lana gets injured, Perry had sent Jimmy down to take pictures.
Yeah, maybe Jimmy got a bunch of good photos at the thing.
Yeah, maybe Perry had said, "Find Lane and go get pictures."
Maybe he couldn't find Lane, so he just went and got the pictures. Because Lois is on the roof. Who would think to look for her up there?
Exactly.
Although maybe Lois isn't on the roof anymore, though, because that would be the first thing Jimmy would think to look, because that's where she goes to smoke her cigarettes.
Yeah.
So that would be like the first place he'd look.
Yeah.
Maybe he goes to her. Maybe we have a scene where he goes to her earlier in the episode, and Lois is just like, "Yeah, Superman's. I know Superman might be there, but we could get there and he's gone. I know for a fact he's coming back here, or at least she thinks she does." And maybe she's just like, "You go get the photos if you want. I'll be here getting my interview with Superman." And she's just like, just so stubborn.
Yeah.
I'm not moving.
Yeah, we've definitely got Terry Hatcher's Lois down.
Yeah, she's there. Maybe, she's smoking it. The only thing we've got different with our version of Lois is that our Lois is a smoker, like Margot Kidder and the comic versions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Terry Hatcher's Lois was a smoker, which was probably...
I think she only did it in one episode, and that was when she thought she was Wanda Detroit.
Right. Well, still fun.
Yeah.
I can see Terry Hatcher pulling off our version of Lois just as well as she did the one in Lois and Clark. I just think, obviously our sensibilities are quite different writing season 5. We're writing Superman stories where Lois and Clark was primarily a romantic comedy. Our show isn't a romantic comedy; it's an action drama.
Yeah.
But so I think that's the end of the episode.
The only thing I think we should do is get somebody for the character of Sykes, the criminal.
Right. Yeah.
Because we could have somebody as just like a character actor.
What's the guy's name? He was one of the main guys in Revenge of the Nerds. Curtis Armstrong.
Curtis Armstrong.
I've been wanting to put Curtis Armstrong in it somewhere. He's quite young at the time, but I can't think of anything else for Curtis Armstrong to do at this point. So give that role to him, maybe. He's quite young at the time, but
I don't know. I was kind of thinking Anthony Edwards.
And I don't know Anthony Edwards.
He was one of the other nerds in Revenge of the Nerds, and this was right around the time when he started working on ER.
Yeah, I mean that works.
And again, he's playing against type because he's playing a criminal as opposed to
That's the only reason I was thinking Curtis Armstrong is just even playing something I've not really seen too much. But again, he's just a character actor that I've got a lot of respect for, so I'll find something for him. But we'll say Anthony Edwards then for Sykes.
Yeah.
Unless we want to go older, because I've just had a funny idea that would be kind of a weird reference at the same time.
Okay.
Oliver Reed. He played Bill Sykes in Oliver.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean,
it was before Gladiator, so he'd be like an older drunkard sort of character, which would give more reason to why he shot the woman in the diner.
Yeah.
I'll find something for Oliver Reed, just because I think he's one of the best British actors, even if he was kind of a prick. By all accounts. Every documentary I've seen.
That story.
Was that with Oliver Reed?
I think it was.
I know my grandmother met him twice.
Yeah.
But Oliver Reed was he was a method actor. So the first time she met him, he was playing a nice guy in a movie. She said he was lovely, really nice bloke. Second time she met him, he was playing a villain. She said he was the biggest prick she'd ever met in her life. She hated him. But I know I also told the story about Peter Cook.
Right.
As well. That was with my grandfather. And did I tell you the story with Brian Blessed?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, my other granddad, like my granddad from my mother's side, was in a pub like one time, and Brian Blessed comes bursting through the doors, just pushes. There's a load of people waiting to be served and all that. He just pushes his way to the front of the thing. Makes a great big order like this, and yeah, my granddad was just like, "There's a fucking queue, mate." And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" He's like, "I don't give a fuck who you are. We're next." Just got in his face. Yeah, so Brian Blessed was made to wait his turn. But I think he was such a popular actor at that point, he thought he could just do what he wanted. And yeah, I'm quite proud of my grandfather for proving him wrong.
Ooh.
We've got to find something for Brian Blessed as well, by the way.
I just had an idea for Brian Blessed if we ever do it.
Brian Blessed as Darkseid.
No.
Mongol, or just something completely unexpected.
Ra's al Ghul.
I can't see him being physical enough for it. He's quite a large bloke. He's not in the best shape, especially around 1993. He's kind of a
little bit of a paunch.
Yeah, a little bit. I was trying to be nice. I think a paunch is a nice way of putting it. Like, I love Brian Blessed, but yeah, maybe not.
And again, your idea of Darkseid works, because I mean, we basically do the Smallville route of Doomsday. A wrestler in a big suit, and then he just does the voice.
Yeah. Like when we do, like, just for people wondering, in case we haven't mentioned it on the air before, I think we have. But yeah, when we eventually do Doomsday, it's going to be Shaquille O'Neal in a suit. He won't speak, so don't worry about his acting. It's just he's a very, very big man.
Yeah.
And he's a Superman fan, so it's like, do you want to play Doomsday and kill Superman on television? At that point, he'd probably be like, hell yeah, I do. Sign me up. It's probably a better role than Steel. Well, maybe not. Steel could have been a good role if it was a good movie. But, less said about that, the better. When we bring in Steel eventually, I think it'll be a lot better. But
yeah. I was actually thinking, of either two options for Steel if we ever do Steel. One is Michael Dorn.
Great.
Did the voice of him in
the
Superman animated series.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I like that.
Or we could go Michael Clark Duncan.
Don't think he was acting at that point, was he?
Well, there's an easy way to find out.
Started acting in 1995, so not for another 2 years.
All right, then. Michael Dorn it is.
Michael Dorn, yeah. I mean, let's face it, we're going to find roles for pretty much the entire Star Trek cast from all the shows where possible. I'm still waiting to find a good role for George Takei. I think that, or George, is it Takei or Takai? I never know.
It's Takei.
Takei. Like, we got to find a good role for him at some point. Something with, like, that he can show off his comedic side, but maybe we don't have to make him necessarily a good guy. Ra's al Ghul. No comedic side. It's just he can show off his sword training and stuff because he was trained in all that. That's the only reason he did the fencing in that Star Trek episode. It's because George Takei wanted to show off his skills with the sword.
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't even got a story for Ra's al Ghul yet. It's just fun to think about these things because now we've already finished pitching this episode. We may as well just break a few details for later in the season as well. I can see George Takei as an interesting Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. I still say that, we should use Patrick McGowan as the Spectre.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
We were originally going to use him as Dr. Fate, but you wanted Ricardo Montalban because of the chair.
Yeah. Plus, I think he'd just be an amazing Dr. Fate. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
like, I think he would be incredible in that role. Like, rest in peace, Ricardo Montalban. But yeah, he's just a phenomenal actor. I think he's mostly known as like Khan or the guy off Fantasy Island, but yeah,
Mr. Rourke.
that's it. Yeah,
It was essentially, if you want to think about it, he was kind of like a Dr. Fate type because of the things he's doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he would have been marvelous. But yeah. So we've got the wife cast. I forget who you said now, but we'll
Marsha Cross.
Marsha Cross. That's it.
You could find a role for Corbin Burnson.
Oh, definitely. Corbin Burnson, he's got to be there somewhere. I don't know where we'll put him just yet, but yeah. It's a good sort of time to put him in it as well, around 1993. It's sort of an in-between. Because wasn't it the 80s when he was biggest, and then he sort of...
Yeah.
He had a bit of a resurgence with Psych, but it's, I think we're catching him at a good point.
He's also married to Amanda Pays from The Flash.
Yeah, maybe we can have him in the episode when we have The Flash. Maybe she's in that episode as well, and we can have something with them both.
Oh, I think I just thought of the perfect casting. A member of the Flash Rogues Gallery we never got to see on the original series. Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Did he have blonde hair before he lost all his hair? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. He was blonde in Psych, so I was just like, that's perfect then. Yeah. Like if we get him in one of our suits that's based on the Flash's suit. He doesn't need to work out particularly. He'll look muscly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it working. I think that'd be fun.
Given that most of Terry Hatcher's early work was pretty much on, guest roles on MacGyver, we need to get Richard Dean Anderson in a role.
Oh no, we're definitely having him in a role at some point, for sure.
And I think the
guy that played General Hammond is going to be in it at some point as well.
Yeah. I was thinking. That's Don S. Davis.
That's it. Yeah.
But I was thinking, if we want to make him one of the members of the JLA, okay, there's a couple of choices we have. We can either go Hawkman,
right,
or we could do the Atom, Ray Palmer.
I say Ray Palmer, just because I kind of want to get hit. I forget the name of the actor. Let me just look him up.
Oded
Fahir or something.
From The Mummy.
He was in The Mummy. He played the head Magi.
Ardeth Bey.
Yeah. I think he'd be great as Hawkman. And he's sort of got the Egyptian connection that I think would be fun, because we're going to, like we discussed once before, it's going to be sort of a combination of the alien origin and the archaeologist thing. We're going to try and make a sort of nice merge of the two. So I think it would work for both. I think he'd be great. I don't know who Hawk Woman would be yet, or Hawk Girl, but
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah. I don't know if in 1993 she'd be famous enough. She was a complete unknown. I mean, I guess he was too, but I guess they were both character actors at that point. So, I mean, it could work.
Yeah.
I just don't know if Rachel Weisz is worth keeping for something better down the line. I mean, she would have been a pretty good Wonder Woman, but to be honest, I'm kind of set on Lucy Lawless for that role.
Yeah,
she would have been a good Wonder Woman, though. Thinking about it, she would have been a really good Wonder Woman.
So would Catherine Zeta-Jones.
True. We'll find something for her as well, even unless we already did. Actually, I remember her name coming up once before.
No,
Do you remember who?
I don't think we did anything for Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Right.
If we're gonna do Wonder Woman, I think we should use Catherine Zeta-Jones as either Cersei or the Cheetah.
Yeah, the Cheetah would be a fun one. She's got sort of I can see her bringing the physicality needed for that role quite well. She's especially I've seen like stuff like Chicago where she did all the she really threw herself into the dance moves and all that stuff in that movie. So fight choreography is just another form of it's all choreography, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
and she already had an experience with doing a superhero movie. She was in the Phantom.
I still haven't seen the Phantom, so I had no idea she was even in that.
Yeah.
She was also in Mask of Zorro, which is vaguely superhero related.
And also The Legend of Zorro, but we don't talk about that.
I never even bothered seeing that one. I still don't know why they decided 10 years after the first one, why they now make the sequel. Like,
and it
nobody cared at that point. Just reboot it again.
Yeah, and the problem with the movie is it also, completely screws up American history.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that always the way though with Hollywood? If there is a way to do that, they manage it. It's like, Doctor Who had Legend of the Sea Devils recently, and the amount of inaccuracies in that are infuriating because the stuff that they didn't bother to mention is the interesting part of that character's story.
Yeah.
So they cut out anything that made it worth doing an episode on this pirate. Like she was this pirate queen in China, this character, and very interesting story, but nothing to do with what appears in that episode.
And also, the Wonder Woman movie that Gal Gadot was in. It's set during World War One. The general played by.
It should have always been World War II anyway. Like, who cares if it's a copy of Captain America?
The reason they didn't do World War II is because they didn't want to do a redux of Captain America, the First Avenger.
They kind of already did though. They did it anyway. Like it is just the first Avenger, Captain America, with a Wonder Woman skin. It's the exact same movie basically, which is why I always think, I'm not surprised Wonder Woman 84 wasn't very good because they didn't have something to rip off this time.
Yeah, but what they got wrong with the original Wonder Woman film is the general that was played by Danny Houston, Ludendorff. He dies at the end of the movie.
He survived the war.
Ludendorff was actually a part of the beer hall putsch in Germany when Hitler got arrested.
Right, so you couldn't kill him off at that point.
Yeah, and somebody needs to mention
it's
this.
It's an alternate universe. It's a universe with superheroes. History changed. Wonder Woman affected history.
Yeah,
we can look past that. It's more annoying with something like Zorro, where it's like it's not a world full of magic superheroes who can fly and stuff like that. He's just a man with excellent sword skills, basically. But yeah.
I still say that the best line when Anthony Hopkins is teaching him how to use a sword. He says, "You know how to use a sword, right?" "Yes, the pointy end goes into the other man."
I have just realized we forgot to add a scene in this.
Okay.
In the episode.
All right.
I think we should add it to the post-credits scene. Actually, no, add it just before the end credits. But we need to have the resolution for Clark deciding not to pursue the relationship with Lana.
Maybe she's in the hospital and he goes to her and he says, I thought that I could have a relationship with Yolana, and I know this is going to be very hurtful. But after what happened today, I can't. You mean too much to me to allow you to get hurt. And Lana being Lana, she just gets angry, and she says, "This is what you always do."
Mm.
And he says, "Lana, I'm not doing this because I'm falling back. I'm doing this because what just happened."
Mm.
And then
He can tell her about what happened in Future Imperfect and what he saw in that future, and and the reasons why he left in the first place, the reasons why he didn't call her for a long time. This is all the stuff he was dealing with, and as soon as he decides, you know what, screw it, I'm going for it anyway, that's when he learns that he can't. He sees why he can't.
Yeah.
And it's going to make, when he develops feelings for Lois later on, very difficult. But I think this is where it starts.
Yeah.
So,
but he already knows what's going to happen with Lois because you've seen it.
And maybe he can even say to her, like, this isn't going to be like when I disappeared for 6 months or a year or whatever it was. This time, I'm not like disappearing from your life. Like, we'll see each other, like, but as Clark, he can't be around her as Superman because it puts too much of a target on her back. And maybe he's just like, the only way that this is going to work is if we're just friends. And
and maybe she points out the fact that she does work as a reporter for GBS, and she says it can work, and he says it can't. It really can't. I'm still trying to figure out my place in the world. I mean, and maybe we'll make a mention of the little joke that we mentioned in Metallo, where he says people are still calling me Superboy.
Yeah.
I have to embrace me.
Yeah.
I have to embrace my destiny.
And maybe he doesn't leave things completely up in the air. Maybe he says something along the lines of, maybe one day things will be different, but
for right
now, this just cannot happen. This is too dangerous. And
maybe he mentions all the times that it's happened in the past when he was Superboy. I mean, remember the alien. Remember Neela. Remember how many times Lex kidnapped you.
The first time she met Superboy was because she was thrown out of a helicopter. Literally, the first time she met Superboy, it was because he had to save her life. And granted, that was going to happen whether she was with him or not. But it can just harken back to what I wrote in Future Imperfect, where it's just like, you were always taking risks, and I always said that you took too many risks, but the risks you are taking just keep
getting worse
and worse. Like, the threat is growing. And he could even say to her, like, I asked you to stay on the roof of the building. You wouldn't have gotten hurt today if you'd done what I'd asked. And it's like, I'm not blaming you for leaving. You got a job to do, and I'd been gone a while. But seriously, this is why we cannot be together. And it's because I care too much about you, maybe. And it's just, yeah. He's not leaving because he doesn't care. He's leaving because he cares too much, which is a very Superman thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's sacrifice. It's, every superhero at some point has to sacrifice the thing they want the most if they're gonna. It's the end line of the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, isn't it? It's like, to be a hero, you have to sacrifice the thing you want the most.
Yeah.
Or was that the trailer dialogue from Spider-Man 2? I'm trying to remember.
No, it was from Spider-Man 2. It's when he was saying,
Aunt May was like, there's a hero in all of us.
Yeah, and he says, I have to give up the things. No, it's what he said to Doc Ock. He says, sometimes to be a hero, to be steady, you have to give up the thing you want the most in order to do the right thing.
And that's what Superman has to do in this situation. And I know I'm going to be making some people watching quite angry that we're not going to pursue Clark and Lana being together.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Lana was never Superman's destiny anyway. Like, it might have been an interesting story. Like, maybe we'll do like a what if story down the line where we see a timeline where he did choose Lana. But probably won't be for a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an interesting Elseworlds story. Maybe at some point between season 5 and season 6, maybe we say, oh, they made 3 TV movies and they're one-off specials, and that can be one of them or something.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, they made some special feature-length episodes for TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this scene works, because we're leaving the door open, and yet we're closing it at the same time.
Now he's saying he's leaving the door open, but the tragic irony that we know as viewers is he's saying maybe one day it'll change. The audience knows it's not going to change, and that's actually just an added element of tragedy to it.
Yeah. And it definitely works, in the sense that
because it is something that we never see. I don't think we've ever seen on screen the relationship of Clark Kent and Lana Lang breaking up. Because usually in the comics, we just skip a certain period of time between like college and high school. Even if Lana and Superboy are together at some point, we never really see the ending of that relationship because either shows got cancelled or new shows that start pick up after that relationship.
Yeah.
Superman and Lois just had it as a throwaway. Like, he comes back from the fortress and she's moved on, and I just like the fact that we've actually got a definitive kind of episode you can point to and say that's the episode where Superboy and Lana knew that they were not meant to be together. And maybe by the end of the scene, Clark has even convinced her. Maybe he's got her to at least see his side, even if she thinks
he's being an idiot.
Decision. Yeah. She thinks he's being an idiot, but maybe she kind of sees what he's talking about, even if she's not quite ready to admit it yet.
Yeah.
But Lana will be back. We're not getting rid of Lana, so don't worry. It's just now we get to explore Clark and Lana as best friends instead of lovers.
Yeah.
Which I think could be a really interesting direction to take their relationship. Now they are just best friends. It's like, I think.
Yeah, and then also see the blossoming of the Clark and Lois relationship. And maybe, as his best friend, she, will put in little digs like, so you're pursuing her and you didn't want to pursue me. Yeah. And yet she puts herself in the same kind of risks. Gee, something's not right about this argument here, Clark.
Maybe he can even say, like, to be honest, like, I'd heard of Lois Lane before even coming to Metropolis. She's been taking bigger risks than you her entire life. And I've never been there. Somehow she always lands on her feet. And maybe he's just like, I think she must be just the luckiest person in the world. But maybe as well, Clark can be like, I can't pursue Lois. And maybe eventually Lana can go to him and say, you're head over heels for this woman. Don't be an idiot. Go get her. And maybe it's Lana that sort of gives him the okay to say, like, yeah.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun. I mean, we're thinking.
And I just had a thought. You're going to love this. Yeah. We were talking a few minutes ago about Don S. Davis from Stargate.
Yeah.
I think I found the perfect role for him.
Sam Lane?
Uh-huh.
I love it. General Sam Lane. Yeah. Don S. Davis is Sam Lane. I love it.
Yeah, and we're not going to play him like Sam Lane from the comics, who was, out to kill Superman.
No. He'll basically be General Hammond from SG-1. Like, he takes a hard stance on a lot of things, but deep down he's just a big teddy bear, really, isn't he? That's the thing about General Hammond. Like, he's strict when he needs to be. He doesn't take any shit, but no, he's a teddy bear. He loves his, he loves his team, the people that work for him.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how we'll do it. Maybe we can take it completely in the other direction to the comics. Maybe he's a Superman fan and is trying to convince Superman to go on some missions for him, and he's like, "Come on, please! Like, we love you around there. Come do a few. We've got some soldiers that we've not heard from for a while that are behind enemy lines. Would you go get them for us?" And it's just trying to convince Superman to actually work for the military, and Superman's just having none of it.
Yeah.
Maybe they have to come to some understanding by the end of their first episode together, but yeah, maybe at that point we can sow some seeds of doubt in Sam Lane so that it's not completely removed from the comics. He's not trying to kill Superman, but maybe he doesn't quite trust him by the end of the episode, which would be an interesting way to end it, considering we started it with him as like Superman's biggest fan, like almost like Bibbo Bobowski or Flash Thompson for Spider-Man. It's like, I think that would be fun.
All right, we got our Sam Lane then.
Okay. Well, I think we've gone on long enough. This is going to take me forever to edit. But I realised this was a completely different style of season 5 episode. I do hope you've enjoyed it nonetheless, even though it was such a different style. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this format of show and you want us to do more episodes in this style, it won't be all the episodes, just it'll be sort of like a special thing every now and then. But yeah, leave us a comment and just say like if you enjoyed it or not, whether you'd want to see more, or even if you think it didn't work. I think it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it, but
and if you guys have any ideas as to stories that you'd like to see, leave us a comment, let us know, and we'll see what we can do.
That's one of the best things about the comments on this. We keep getting ideas from people, which is really cool. I think one of the first comments when I first started chatting to you was because you left a couple of ideas, I think, on the first episode of season 5. And now you're one of the writers. So so who knows? Maybe you throw us some ideas. Maybe even if you're not brought into the show as a whole, maybe we can say that you're a co-writer. Your story by credit we'll give you, and we'll try to write an episode around it. I think that would be fun. But another thing I do want to do in the future is a little tease. I don't know if it will work. They may not. Like, it may be a case where none of them are interested in doing this, but I know that some of the writers for the show are now following and watching and stuff, because we've been getting comments and people on Twitter, and we've been getting contacted by people that actually worked on the show. I think it could be fun. Maybe I'll actually invite one of them to join us for one of these episodes, and they'll be in the writer's room with us, and maybe they can break the story with us. They might not be up for it. I mean, but I think the fact that it's pretty informal and loose and just having some fun, getting creative, you never know. Fingers crossed. But thank you all for watching. As I say, leave us a comment. Let us know if you enjoyed this. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And
we'll see you guys very soon. I'm on vacation this week, so we might be doing a few more episodes.
Hopefully we'll record a couple of commentaries, and we'll do another regular episode or whatever. And we're going to try and record a fair bit this week, or at least a couple more things, just so we've got some stuff to schedule.
But otherwise, see you soon. Same super chime, same super channel.
See you guys.